In June of 2018, NHL fans and spectators witnessed one of the most feel-good moments hockey had to offer us last decade, as Capitals captain Alex Ovechkin, after years of painful postseason heartbreak, had finally captured Lord Stanley's Cup. And, as the 2021 season is on the horizon, I thought it would be only fitting to entertain the prospect of two players potentially winning their own championships and riding off into the sunset. In this video, we're going to take a look at a couple of longtime NHL vets that have plenty of postseason ventures but still have yet to take the ultimate victory. And with that, here are two NHL players that desperately need a cup this postseason before they retire. As you may recall, during the feud that took place between Rangers coach at the time, John Tortorella, and Sharks forward, Joe Thornton, Tortorella said one thing that could very well come true shortly.
Joe's a heck of a player. He could go down as a player, being one of the better players in our league, never to win anything. As
a charismatic, pass first, shoot second veteran, after 2 decades spent in the league thus far, only has 2 pieces of hardware, unfortunately, to show for it. The Art Ross and Hart trophies, in which he captured following his impressive debut campaign with San Jose, in which he recorded 72 assists and 92 total points. Coming over from Boston, Thornton quickly became a staple within the Sharks organization and quickly formed remarkable chemistry with fellow first-round draftee Patrick Marleau. The team, during most of Thornton's lengthy tenure in the Bay Area, qualified for the postseason, and after many early playoff exits since his arrival, the Sharks were finally able, in 2010, to advance to the 3rd round, but were unfortunately swept by the Chicago Blackhawks, who then went on to win the Stanley Cup. Next spring, despite having the C on his sweater during the next Cup run, Jumbo Joe and his team faced the same disappointing result of defeat at the hands of Vancouver. But it wasn't until years later that number 19 finally, after nearly 2 decades spent in the league, had reached the Stanley Cup Finals. As we all know though, after a 6-game series, the Pittsburgh Penguins captured the Cup instead in 2016. But despite all the heartbreak he endured during his time as a Shark, Jumbo Joe remained loyal to San Jose for 15 seasons. And even though, to many throughout Silicon Valley, he'll always be a Shark, Thornton recently made one of the biggest decisions of his entire career, and possibly his lifetime, as he decided at 41 years of age to sign with his hometown team in the Toronto Maple Leafs. But for Kyle Dubas, Thornton wasn't the only piece of the puzzle put in place this offseason, as the GM has made several moves with the intent to add more sandpaper and grittiness around his superstars up front. Players such as Wayne Simmons and Zach Bogosian have been added into the mix in order to give the Leafs more of what they were in desperate need of last postseason. And most likely centering the 4th line will be Thornton himself, who will probably assume a similar role as his former teammate Marleau did during his tenure as a Leaf, and will give the younger players a veteran voice of leadership in the locker room along with immense playoff experience and knowledge. Therefore, the ultimate question is, can Thornton, after 22 years in the NHL, be the next Ovechkin and capture the Cup next postseason? I'd love to personally say yes. My vote here is most likely no, as Toronto hasn't had the right mojo per se for season upon season when it matters most. Adding Simmons and Bogosian were great moves, but in my opinion, it won't be enough without more elite help on the back end. But for Thornton's sake, I hope I'm wrong.
I've imagined it, and it's a pretty good feeling.
Little did they know, after drafting an overlooked yet elite netminder from a small town in Sweden, Henrik the King Lundqvist would go on to be the face of the franchise and the best between the pipes that the Rangers had ever seen. After making his debut with the Blue Shirts nearly 5 years after his draft year of 2000, Lundqvist immediately began proving to his team and the league that he was among, if not the best, of his generation in the crease. Hank, while recording impressive numbers while shouldering much of the workload, received Vezina nominations in his first 3 consecutive seasons prior to capturing the highly esteemed award finally in 2012. And besides just the Vezina, as a reward for his stellar play, Lundqvist was able to propel his team in part to 3 visits to the Eastern Conference Finals. One of those lengthy postseason runs in 2014 resulted in the Rangers for the first time in 20 years advancing to the Stanley Cup Finals. in which they unfortunately lost to the Los Angeles Kings in 5 games. Unlike Thornton, though, Lundqvist's story ended in dramatic fashion, as the King last season witnessed the team that drafted him 2 decades prior slowly phasing him out, as younger, cheaper options in net began to emerge in the form of Alexander Georgiev and Igor Shesterkin. And as the hockey world watched with dismay, Lundqvist was bought out by the Rangers organization earlier this fall. But, as the saying goes, as one door closes, another one opens up. And for Henrik, his new opportunity yielded a chance at finally dancing with Lord Stanley, as the Washington Capitals displayed much interest in the netminder's leadership and experience during free agency. Following the departure of longtime Capital Braden Holtby, a need immediately presented itself, as up-and-comer Ilya Samsonov, though elite, was in need of a mentor to help shoulder some of the workload similarly to the Hart-Elliott duo in Philly. Along with Lundqvist, the Caps sought to better their blue line by bringing in 2-time Stanley Cup champ Justin Schultz and Trevor Van Riemsdyk from Raleigh. Even though Washington's lapses in defense were well exposed last postseason, with offensive talents such as Alex Ovechkin and Tom Wilson that are immensely skilled but also very physical and elite playmakers in Evgeny Kuznetsov and Nicholas Backstrom, I believe the Capitals have a much greater chance at ending Lundqvist's longtime pursuit for the Cup this postseason than Toronto does with Thornton's. And, shortly before releasing this video, I asked you all how you all felt personally on the matter, and the majority that voted seemed to feel the same way I did. Regardless, for both players listed, I sincerely wish them nothing but the best moving forward.